Welcome to Kids Recall. In today's video, we'll be going through the 2016 movie Kubo and the Two Strings. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts with a woman alone in a boat. She has a bundle strapped to her back with a beetle insignia on it. The sea is stormy and there are huge waves around her. The woman faces these waves armed with only a shamisen, which is a Japanese stringed instrument. She strums it once, which causes a humongous wave in front of her to split in half. As her boat continues, she spots land, but another huge wave rises behind her, fast enough that she is not able to defend herself against it. The wave crashes down, taking the boat with it, and the woman falls deep into the water. She hits her face against the dock before she finds herself waking up after being washed upon the shore. She looks around in panic before she catches sight of the bundle she was carrying. She drags herself across the sand to the bundle, which is now moving, and opens it up to reveal her son, who has a bandage on his left eye. The woman cradles her baby close before the scene changes. Years have passed, and Kubo, the baby we saw in the last scene, is now grown up. He wakes up early before dawn to see the cave he lives in littered with scattered pages. He gathers them all up and starts the fire for breakfast. He sets the food down properly in front of the fire, along with Monkey, a small statuette. He then wakes up his mother, who is in a vegetative state and does not know who she is or where she is, and neither does she speak or do anything. Kubo feeds her as she's unable to care for herself. They then sit in the mouth of the cave and watch the sun rise as Kubo practices his origami. He then grabs his mother's shamisen and the origami figures and makes his way to the nearby town. Kubo comes here often to tell stories and make a living. That day, he continues the tale of Hanzo, a mighty samurai who is on his way to battle the Moon King, who stole his family. Kubo uses the magic he has inherited from his mother to play the shamisen and bring the origami figures to life. Hanzo has to face many monsters before he can get the 3 pieces of armor that will enable him to fight his nemesis, namely the sword Unbreakable, the breastplate Impenetrable, and the helmet Invulnerable. When he finally is able to face the Moon King, we see that the whole day has passed and the bell sounds to signal nightfall. Kubo immediately packs up, much to the frustration of the townsfolk, and makes his way back to the cave. As the sun sets, Kubo reaches home to see his mother regain awareness and call out to him. They enjoy a simple dinner, and afterwards, Sariatu tells him the tale of Hanzo, Kubo's father. But she forgets the story halfway due to her being unwell and apologizes. Kubo asks what his father was like, and Sariatu responds that he was just like Kubo. She tells him never to forget that his father loved him and died protecting him from the Moon King, his grandfather. She makes him promise never to go out during nightfall, otherwise her father and sisters will kill him. After all, they were the ones who took his eye from him. She also cautions him to keep Monkey with him at all times. As they hug, Sariatu soon loses her lucidity and goes back to her unresponsive state. Kubo looks at his mother sadly and helps her get into bed. He wakes up sometime in the night to see that pages are floating in the air, changing shapes as Sariatu struggles in her sleep. Kubo wakes her up, which causes the pages to fall down as his mother wakes up to ask him what happened to his eye. The next day, Kubo heads over to the village, which is buzzing with excitement about a festival. Kubo's friend, an old widowed woman, tells him how the people communicate with the dead and guide their spirits to peace during the festival. This motivates Kubo to talk to his dead father, and he heads over to the graveyard with other people. He settles his handmade lantern on top of the gravestone and tries to communicate with his father. As he watches other people's lanterns light up, he grows dismayed, never getting a response. Soon it is dusk, and Kubo angrily throws away the lantern but doesn't realize that he has lost track of time. Night falls, and with it a gust of wind blows. All the lanterns in the stream blow out as someone calls out to them. Then his mother's twin sisters appear, content to have found him at last. The 2 creepy women are after his other eye. and Kubo makes a run for it as they send a sinister-looking fog after him. They chase him through the village, which was busy celebrating the festival, causing havoc. Kubo falls and is almost overtaken by his ants when Kubo's mother arrives and pushes them back using her shamisen. She then hugs her son and tells him to find the suit of armor and then uses magic to grow wings from the beetle's insignia. Kubo has flown away with only a strand of his mother's hair as she collides with her sisters in a blast of magic. Kubo wakes up in a frozen wasteland to see a monkey standing over him, explaining that his mother is gone and that they need to move or they'll be found by the sisters. Kubo first backs up in fright and confusion until he looks around and realizes that he has no other choice but to trust the monkey. Monkey leads Kubo to a whale carcass where they shelter for the night. Kubo says he has questions, and Monkey says that he can only ask 3. He asks her who she is, and Monkey explains that she was Kubo's charm, brought to life by the last of Sariatu's magic, and that they must search for Hanzo's magical armor, the only thing that can protect Kubo against the Moon King. She says that he has to listen to what she says, as she is here to protect him, and makes him drink whale stew, which Kubo is not very keen on. When Kubo shows Monkey his mother's hair, she weaves it into a bracelet for him, telling him that it is a memory, the most powerful kind of magic. In the morning, Kubo and Monkey discover that in his sleep, Kubo brought to life an origami figurine of Hanzo, which silently points out a path for them. Kubo is happy to follow the tiny samurai, saying that this must be how his father chose to answer Kubo's prayer. Along the way, Kubo uses his origami and shamisen to pester the ever-serious monkey, who warns him to control his magic. She tells him that this is not one of his stories and he should read carefully. Kubo retorts, asking her what if it is. When Monkey turns around to reprimand him, she finds him gone and screaming for her. Monkey rushes after Kubo, who has been abducted by a large beetle. Kubo tells her that the beetle only wanted to see the origami Hanzo, but Monkey is skeptical as usual. Beetle explains that he suffers from amnesia, but is convinced he was once a great warrior and apprentice to Hanzo, cursed to live as a beetle. After learning that Kubo is the son of Hanzo, Beetle begs to be included in their quest, vowing to protect Kubo to his last breath. He believes that this is his destiny. Monkey points out that they can't trust anything he says, as even he can't trust anything he says. Kubo breaks the two apart, saying that due to their dangerous quest as samurai, even a cursed one that looks like a beetle is better than having no ally at all. Monkey reluctantly agrees after seeing Beetle's skill with a bow, and origami Hanzo quickly points out their next destination. Kubo catches Beetle up on the entire tale and is having fun telling him about how Monkey used to be a toy, and he used to keep her in his pocket and called her Monkey. Suddenly, Hanzo leaps off of Kubo and points them to a crack in the wall. Beetle breaks through the wall by running into it, and they find an entrance which resembles a skull. Despite Monkey's warning, Beetle and Kubo touch it, causing a huge rumbling to commence as the trio falls through the ground. And so they discover the location of the sword Unbreakable. After helping Beetle to his feet, they see the sword embedded in a large skeleton hand. Beetle volunteers to extract it, which reveals the skeleton guarding the sword. It is defeated once Kubo manages to pull the sword, one out of many, from the guardian's head. Origami Hanzo then leads them to the edge of Long Lake, where Monkey and Beetle argue over Kubo's safety and magical abilities. Kubo takes this opportunity to prove his worth and creates a massive ship out of leaves so that they can cross the lake. As they sail, Beetle shows Kubo how to use a bow and arrow to fish, and Monkey uses the sword Unbreakable to cut up their catch. Kubo is pleased to share a meal sitting with his friends, having never done so before. But then Origami Hanzo points out the location of the breastplate impenetrable below the water's surface. Beetle volunteers to retrieve it, but Kubo warns him of a creature his mother spoke of that lives in the lake. Using eyes that stare deep into you, the creature shows you images to entice you to stay submerged forever. Beetle dives in, but after a while, and as the storm comes upon them, Kubo goes in after him, thinking something is wrong. Monkey is prevented from following by one of Sariatu's sisters, and they do battle. Meanwhile, Kubo finds the armor but is entranced by the Garden of Eyes. Appearing to have forgotten about the armor, Beetle surfaces and is sent by Monkey back to find Kubo, who is nearly swallowed by the underwater creature. The sister mocks Monkey and calls Sariatu weak and a traitor for having fallen in love with Hanzo. Monkey is wounded but manages to defeat the sister, claiming that falling in love made me stronger. Beetle returns with Kubo, who realizes, thanks to images he saw from the Garden of Eyes, that Monkey is actually his mother reincarnated. They sail across Long Lake and shelter in a cave where Sariatu tells her story. She lived in the heavens with her father, the Moon King, and her sisters, and was tasked to kill Hanzo, for if he found the magical armor, he would become too powerful and upset the natural balance. However, during battle with Hanzo, he tells her that she is his quest, and Sariatu, in recognizing his compassion, found her own. They fell in love and had Kubo shortly after, but the Moon King, furious over her betrayal, stole Kubo's eye and killed Hanzo, but not before Sariatu was able to escape, using her magic to keep herself and Kubo hidden. Sariatu explains that the Moon King wants Kubo's other eye so that he can then welcome his grandson to live with him in his kingdom, cold and hard and perfect. Kubo falls asleep and Sariatu confides to Beetle that she didn't tell Kubo her identity before because the magic keeping her alive is fading. Beetle promises to care for Kubo once she's gone. Meanwhile, Kubo has a vivid dream where he meets an elderly blind man playing a shamisen. The ghostly man tells Kubo to find the last piece of the armor, the helmet invulnerable, in the place where he might have lived, Hanzo's fortress. Kubo wakes, excited, and the trio head out to complete their journey. At the fortress, decaying after years of neglect, they find murals depicting the locations of the pieces of armor, but no helmet. In the courtyard, they are confronted by the second sister, who reveals that Beetle is in fact Hanzo, whose memories were stored away and manifested in the origami figure that was leading them. Hanzo dispatches the sister, but only as a brief moment to cherish the reunion with his family before he is fatally stabbed in the back. Before the sister can deal a death blow to her, Sariatu tells Kubo to fly home. Kubo quickly grabs and strums his shamisen, breaking 2 of the 3 strings and setting off a large blast of energy that eliminates the sister. When the dust settles, Kubo sits silently alone. Hanzo lies motionless and the monkey charm is broken at Kubo's feet. Kubo sheds a single tear for his parents, but knows he can't stay. Origami Hanzo, despite being crushed by sister, points weakly at a drawing of the helmet. Kubo realizes the helmet is in his old village, disguised as the bell that is always tolled at sunrise and sunset. He picks up the sword and the string from his father's bow, making a bracelet from it and putting it on his wrist beside his mother's hair. He strums his shamisen, breaking the last string. Wings form on his back as he flies back to his village. The villagers meekly greet him from the rubble, but he warns them to leave because the Moon King is coming. He retrieves the helmet, completing his armor, and demands that his grandfather face him. The Moon King appears, revealed to be the same old man from Kubo's dream. He offers Kubo the chance to give him his eye so that they can live together immortal. Kubo refuses, so the Moon King takes the form of a gigantic fish-like creature and attacks, knocking Kubo into the nearby forest. The Moon King confronts Kubo in the graveyard where the village ancestors are buried. As the hiding villagers look on, Kubo uses his mother's hair, his father's bowstring, and a hair from his own head to restring his shamisen, while the Moon King mocks him. Kubo uses the shamisen and his magic to summon the spirits of the village ancestors, telling the Moon King that their memories and the memories he has of his parents are the most powerful kind of magic there is. The Moon King moves in to finish Kubo, but is repelled by the spirits, and a final wave of magic from Kubo strips him of his power. The Moon King is left alive but reduced to a mortal man, blind in one eye and with no memories of his own. The villagers step forward and introduce Kubo as his grandson, each one of them offering the Moon King a memory of acts of kindness and how he's loved by the people in the village. Kubo agrees to be his grandfather's storyteller, and as the sun rises, Kubo lights 2 lanterns for his parents and wishes they were there with him, so he could end his story happily. The movie ends with Kubo setting his lanterns adrift in the river, and the spirits of his parents proudly standing by his side. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. And thank you for watching.